internet. Today I'm here to do my November wrap-up and what I'm currently reading right now, because apparently I don't do TBRs anymore. November was not a great reading month for me. I only read 2 books, which is great. I'm glad I read 2 books, but I really didn't care for one of the 2. So that's kind of disappointing. Just a lot happening. I'm finding it really hard to find time to read right now, and kind of ready for January to be here, because I feel like January is going to be a little bit better as far as like things slowing down, me being able to like read and stuff. Right now it's hard to find time. But anyway, I'm gonna go ahead and get into the wrap-up. First book I read in November was The Sun and Her Flowers by Rupi Kaur. This is Rupi Kaur's newest poetry collection. She also wrote Milk and Honey, which I read earlier this year, and I thought it was okay. But I will say that I enjoyed this poetry collection a lot more. This poetry collection definitely has a lot of self-exploration for Rupi Kaur, and there were a lot of poems in here that I really liked and some that I could even relate to. I folded some of the corners down, which I only do that in my poetry books. I don't do that in any of my other books because it drives me crazy. I really preferred this one over Milk and Honey, and I ended up giving it 5 out of 5 stars. And then I finally finished reading Wicked by Gregory Maguire. I started this one back in October. I started with the audiobook, kind of gave up on the audiobook, finished it in the physical format. I really didn't care for it very much. This is the book that the musical is based off of, and I think, and I really hate to say this, but the musical was definitely an improvement of the book. The book was just not very good, in my opinion. I did really appreciate its political aspects and some of the conversations that it talked about, but I also hated every single character. Now, I'm sure everybody knows this, but if you don't for some reason, this book is basically like the backstory of the Wicked Witch of the West, and while in the musical I love a lot of the characters very much. I think that they're great characters. They're very well rounded. They go through a lot. They transition a lot. In this book, every single character is terrible. I didn't care for any of the characters. I wasn't rooting for any of the characters. His writing is very descriptive in a way that I don't like, in a way that I really just didn't care about what was happening. And I also found some things in here kind of problematic. I can't really think of anything specific, but just like some of the lines in here, I was like, no. And the fact that, well, I can't really say it without being spoilery, but I will just say that, because this needs to be said anyway, I would put a trigger warning on this book for sexual assault, and I don't think that some of the things around that were handled super well. So just not a good book. I will say I did like the overall story, like bits and pieces. It's broken up into different kind of times in Elphaba's life, and it starts off with her parents and like around the time she's born in her early childhood. That part was super boring. I really liked the part when they were in Oz. I found that part a lot more interesting. And then kind of what Elphaba's doing in the Emerald City, that was kind of the shorter section. That one was kind of boring in my opinion. And then she goes somewhere else, part 4, she goes into and starts kind of like living in this country, what eventually becomes like her castle in the West. And that's kind of when the story picked up for me. So that was a good like 2/3 into the book. So I did like some of it, and for that reason I initially gave it 3 out of 5 stars. I'm not super sold on that rating yet. I might lower it. I will not be continuing with this series, and this is a book that I really had been looking forward to reading for a long time, and it was a huge letdown. So that didn't help at all. So that was my November. If I had read 2 books that I really loved, I would be super happy with the fact that I only read 2 books, but since I did not like one of them, I'm just a little disappointed in the way things went. But that's okay, because I'm going to try and make December a little bit better. I'm currently in the middle of 2 books. So far, so good. I am still in the middle of The Book Thief by Marcus Zuzak. I started listening to this on audio at the end of September, and then I didn't finish it in time, and I had to wait until the audiobook was available again before I could finish listening to it, because I was really liking the audiobook, and so I wanted to continue it that way. And I have, I think, around 100 something pages to go. like 140, 130 something pages to go. And so I'm enjoying this one a lot. This is a really good story. And I also am in the middle of The Cuckoo's Calling by Robert Galbraith. This was one of the books on my top 10 to read in 2017 list that I haven't gotten to yet. So time's kind of running out. I'm only on page 38. But so far, I'm into it. I think it's going to be really interesting, and I've heard good things about it, so I am looking forward to reading this one. This is a thriller, mystery thriller novel, and I think I'm going to like this one a lot better than when I tried to read The Casual Vacancy by J.K. Rowling, because that book was really boring. But so far, I like this one. I'm not really making a TBR for December because of just how I've been finding a hard time getting time to read. But I will say there is one more book on my top 10 to read in 2017 list that I haven't gotten to, and so when I finish these books, I have to read that one. I say have to like I don't want to read it. I want to read this book, that's why I put it on the list, but it's Game of Thrones by George R.R. Martin. So I don't know if I'll actually finish this one by the end of the year, but if I at least start it, I'm gonna count that a win. So I have to at least start this month. So wish me luck. So let me know down below in the comments what your favorite read of November was. And that will be it for this video, and I will see you guys next time with another video. Bye.